Mm. Mm. Oh, wow.
Yeah. You see how now the chocolate tastes more like...
Oh, shit.
Now, the remaining flavor in the chocolate, now the chocolate tastes more like cinnamon. Tastes more like spices.
Oh.
You see that? Well, actually, you taste that?
Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on in my mouth right now?
Dude, I have a cool job.
Holy shit. From its rich history to what's behind the best chocolate bars in the world, your entire perception of chocolate will change after listening to this episode. Chocolate maker Ricardo Trillos takes us on his journey throughout the world in his search for finding the best cacao by only working with fair trading farms. We also do an in-depth chocolate tasting which brings together all wine connoisseurs and whiskey lovers. So, let's do it.
Too many days in the darkness without a glimpse of the light. Running tired and broken and scared, but I swear I'll never give up the fight. I see you broken and beat, head pulled down over your eyes. Every part of you wants to surrender, but darling, you were meant to survive. With every star.
This is good. What do you think of the studio? Good?
I love the map on the back.
Do you?
Yes.
Which country did you check out first?
Well, my country, Venezuela, but then I was looking at all the cacao growing countries.
Okay.
Yeah.
And cacao, how often do you get Cacao from Americans?
Often.
Often. Yeah, I was going to say, because I'm guilty of it myself.
Yeah,
as soon as I looked it up, I was like, that's Cacao. But then I was like, no, we're podcasting. I was like, I got to have everything pristine. And I was like, cacao. I listened to the Google pronounce like 20 times.
Yes.
Cacao.
Cacao. Cocoa. I mean, that's the American word, but it is different. That's why in my classes, that's why I always said, like, you know, it's not the cocoa that you're used to. It's cacao.
Where's that word come from? Do you know?
The word what?
Cacao.
It's a fruit. It's it's how it's been called for hundreds of years. It's probably it should have to be like indigenous word.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it stays the same. It's not the actual chemical word, but it's how they refer to the actual fruit.
And I'm assuming then a tree, right? It comes off of a tree?
Yes, it's a fruit. Comes out of the tree. Actually grows through the trunk of the tree, not through the leaves.
So it comes through the trunk.
Yeah, it grows hanging through the trunk of the trees.
Almost like
the
syrup?
Branches. Yeah, not necessarily. No. The fruit comes out. I mean, the fruit actually starts from a flower that blooms, and then for that flower, the fruit start growing to that. So you can find the flower not through the leaves. It's more through the branches to the trunk of the tree that you can see the fruits.
Okay, and I know it wasn't discovered until like the 1400s or so. Did Columbus actually help discover it, or was it? Because I know it was somewhere in South America, and
it was actually. I mean, the way it was discovered is it was necessarily Columbus. It was cacao was used in South America. It was discovered in Mexico, but it wasn't for Columbus. It was for Cortez. So, I mean, by then they were using cacao as a currency.
Oh wow, really?
Okay, as a currency, and they were also drinking what we know today as hot chocolate. They were making drinks out of it. Okay, more like elixir type of drinks.
So it started as a drink.
Yeah,
and then Mexico, I got to think then the Aztecs, right?
When that happened, I mean, Cortez saw that, and it's like, okay, this is something that we have to bring to Europe. That was actually how cacao first made it to Europe. Because remember, it's a fruit that also, I mean, it comes from a fruit, but then the seeds are processed. And once they're processed, they have a long shelf life. They were able to bring them with them. And that's how.
Yeah, all the way back to Europe, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's how cacao got into Europe. And mostly the first version of what we see today was the hot chocolate. It was in drinks. And then it started like flying throughout Europe and getting into different shapes,
gotcha.
different forms.
That's interesting then. It started off as a liquid. And then do you know how it went from liquid to then fermenting and...
No, the fermented, it's always been there. It's always been there. The fermentation is actually a process that you have to do to stop the beans for sprout again. It's a chemical process, but also that's the first step, because as of then, when you harvest and when you remove the fruit from the tree, if you don't ferment, it's going to sprout again, and it's not going to become chocolate. Okay, so that it's the moment when kind of like you click and the beans started the chocolate making process. It's the first step. The first step, healing the sprout possibility, and also start developing the flavors through a chemical process. And that's how the first part of the flavor in chocolate is created.
It's funny that it gets sent over to Europe. Europeans obviously consume it, and then it ends up back over here, but in a different form.
Yeah.
Eventually down the road.
That's what I always say. People like, cacao has traveled around the world, and Europeans are known mostly for techniques. They were the one who actually dedicated time, trial and error to develop techniques, how to turn it from a liquid into the solid pieces, the bonbons, truffles. I mean, Belgians, French, UK, they have a lot to do with the techniques that we know and use nowadays. Okay, but at the end of the day, like I told my attendees in my tastings, it's like, remember, there is no Spain, there is no France, there is no Belgium if they're not able to find cacao from one of the sources.
Yeah, where do you guys get yours?
Right now, we have cacao from Costa Rica, we have cacao from Venezuela, we have cacao from Nicaragua, Tanzania, we get some as well.
Oh, wow.
We're always open. Honduras, we're always open to new origins. Dominican Republic is also we get cacao from as well. Colombia is the newest one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What brought you there?
To Colombia, first a project that I was working with the Department of Agriculture, and I was a volunteer to travel to these countries and work with farmers. So I saw the what they're doing. I tasted what they're growing. They had really good cacao. Now established some relationship with some farmers. I took over a group that I'm mentoring right now. So the plan is for them to start shipping cacao to us next year.
That is so cool that you get to see it from basically where it's grown and then actually seeing it finalized in the wrappers.
I think it's cool, but it should be mandatory. It should be mandatory for there are hundreds of thousands of people working in the chocolate world, and they have no clue where the cacao is coming, where the chocolate's coming from, how cacao tree looks like. All right, you see pastry chefs, you see chocolatiers around the world, and they've never been into a cacao farm. So I think you have to start from there. If there's such a thing, and they should kind of like adjust in pastry school or this type of school, is like, we got to take a field trip to the places of origin so you can gain respect about the things that are happening.
Yeah, because that's hard work, man. That farming.
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, it's a whole different thing. You don't understand what's behind a chocolate bar if you've never been in a farm. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. I mean, I think you can give so many different meanings to chocolate just by taking a quick trip, looking around, hanging out with them, trying their food, see what's happening, and I think through food we can tell stories. So I'm a big believer that we can share that with people, and the more content, the more you know. I mean, the more you can engage people, and kind of like my job is to make people fall in love with chocolate, but in a raw way, in a way that we start from their senses, their feelings, everything it's involved. And you can only say that when you've been part of, when you've been part of these projects or part of, trips to cacao farms, and you see things.
You see it from the ground up, but you also end up understanding, I guess, like how problems could start. It's usually from the beginning, or how successful things are. It's from the beginning. I was talking with somebody the other day about somebody was raising cattle out west, and they were raising cattle. It's like right by a river, and a lot of times, if like the area where the cattle are being raised by the river become infected, that's where the spread of E. coli started. It was right there. And the way he explained it to me, it's like, oh, I didn't realize that once it actually hits the stores, that's when people get sick and start realizing it. But it all starts from the very beginning, and the grass that the cows eat and how they're fed and how they're raised. And that is going to absolutely determine the quality of that beef. And I guess that all makes sense too if you're down in South America and you're looking how people are farming it. So that those you could see like what are some problems actually that possibly happen during the actual full process, because there's got to be a massive amount of different things that you have to maneuver.
Well, I think the biggest challenge that we have, I try not to call it a problem.
Yeah, challenge.
But unfortunately, is that nowadays we're dealing with farmers being forced to grow different types of cacaos, different genetics. There's one of them called CCM51, which is, I'm trying not to get too technical, but imagine that it's something that grows fast, genetically modified. It grows really fast.
Because they want to quicken production.
It looks like a big football. And farmers, because of the poverty it exists in the places that they live, they're being forced to, plant those trees. It grows faster than any other, so they can harvest, they can do all the process fast, and they can start selling it. Right? So they have steady, production. It grows in higher volumes, different than a very luxury type of cacao being a very, very high genetic, in that it's going to be like more expensive, but actually takes the time to grow.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that's the biggest issue that we've seen. Like, hey, try not to do this. And what I do is I go there and say, okay, this is in the long run, it's not going to pay you back. You can sell this in the local market, probably to, chocolate companies here. But if you want to export this, if you want people like us to buy your cacao beans, we're definitely not.
Yeah, for like $7-8 a.
From a premium price, we're definitely not interested in that.
Yeah.
Okay, so be careful. What are your goals? Have something that long term you have a great production, you have something that is steady, and we can rely on you, and we're willing to pay more for that. But,
yeah, because it's just like cattle and chicken farms where they pump in these like steroids just to increase the amount of weight that they can use. And you look at these animals and you're like, oh man, that is definitely unnatural. And the thing is, it's like production has increased, but there's got to be a decrease in quality with that.
Absolutely. There's always a price. And well, of course, there's chocolate for everybody. So these cacao beans are mostly used for large corporations that must produce chocolate bars that are more on the candy side, not necessarily high quality chocolate. And the average consumer don't really care about, okay, what type of beans are you using? Is this the top quality, or where is it being grown? Or they don't have that education though.
Yeah, because you got to do. That's why you were talking about your classes before. You're doing a lot of consumer education, I'm sure. On
Dude, that's my job.
That's what we're doing here, basically. Actually, now I think of it,
and that's absolutely what I want to do. I started a chocolate business in Miami, so when we started Cacao Chocolates back in 2009, it was like, all right, how do we explain these people that we're doing something that's called bean to bar? And people were like, what the hell is
bean
that?
to bar, right?
Bean to bar, yes. Like we were the first chocolate makers in the city, like from the raw material all the way to the final product. Now bean to bar, has grown throughout the world, throughout the US. I have many friends. But at that time, it was like, how do we do this? How do we, and also the price point is different.
Yeah.
Point is different. So how do you explain people that you're making a unique chocolate? They have to pay more in this market, which Miami, it's a tough market, not only because of the type of consumers, but the weather. And how do we get people engaged to this? And I guess the tastings for me I think because I talk too much, I was like, okay, how can I actually use this? I don't know if it's a skill, but how can I, get people like fall in love with chocolate? How to get people to understand chocolate? How do we get people to get to know, like, okay, this guy is doing something unique, and that's worth the price.
Well, I think consumer education is so important on everything, even, especially chocolate, because it opens up an entirely new world when you start to understand it. Because it's like spirits and beer and craftsmanship. Because a lot of times people just go, I'll get a rum and Coke, but like, there's so many different types of rum. There's Puerto Rican rum, there's Caribbean rum. There's, so many different. And when you actually start to understand like the differences, you really, it opens up a whole new world you didn't even know existed.
I have an example of that. I love rum. I was born in Venezuela, so we drink a lot, and we produce really good rums. Okay, and I think it was yesterday, I was scrolling down my Instagram and I saw a picture of one of my friends. I'm not going to mention names, but she had a great Zacapa rum. It was a well-aged Zacapa rum. I love Zacapa. It was the bottle of Zacapa, and right next to it, there was the glass with Coke. So I was like, no, come on. That's why there's rum for that. You can find rums for that, but not that one. Do you know what I mean? Not that one. It's like adding, I don't know, water, ice, Coke to a great single malt scotch. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what the?
I know. I know the feeling. It's but the thing is, when you start to get people interested, like a lot of times people say like, I don't like rum, or I don't like whiskey, I don't like tequila. Well, like my response is always, you've never had a good one in a good way. And I think it's the same thing with chocolate and gins too. I never used to be a gin person. Not that would be the first thing I would order now, but I can appreciate a good gin just because it's the way it's certain brands make them, and people are so used to their very first introduction, just like chocolate and with spirits, the very first introduction is like when they're younger and it's just the shit brand. It's like the Tootsie Roll and the Hershey's and stuff that's mass produced, just like the well whiskeys, the well vodkas, the Smirnoffs, the Shvedkas, or the the one Canadian whiskey, Black Velvet.
the bad hangovers. It happens. One of the things I always tell my attendees in my events is like, you've been eating chocolate all your life. Probably you've never tasted it.
It's a very good point. There's a difference.
Yes. And they're like, oh, what? And I say, my job is to turn chocoholics into chocolate snobs, into chocolate connoisseurs. I opened that door that you just mentioned about scotch, spirits, rums, bourbon, wines, cheeses.
Oh, cheeses. I love cheeses.
Coffee, because people, indulge with all these things. They're like, oh my God, a great wine, a good rum, fine cheese, bourbon. But then when it comes to chocolates, it's like, okay, this is candy. Yeah. They relate chocolates to Easter, Halloween, things like that. And I'm like, no, we're the same. We are the same.
Yeah.
The craftsmanship behind chocolates, it's extraordinary. You don't understand it. And again, I said like I took the bull by the horns. And I was like, this is my job. And actually, that's what I do mostly now. Events like I educate people to eat chocolates.
That's you kind of remind me of Mike Lindell, the guy, the My Pillow guy. Mm-hmm. You know that guy? Because it's funny because there's such good passion with it too, and when you really understand where they're coming from, it makes sense. Because it was funny. I can imagine how passionate you get when people are just like, they sit down with you at a class and like you realize they have no idea of anything, where it's like almost where. In terms of wine, it's almost like, oh, it's made with grapes. You're probably absolutely. Because Mike Lindell, I was watching a video of him, and he was being questioned about something with his business. And the guy, he's on video, and the guy said he read off a negative review about his pillow not being like fluffy enough, and it set him off. And he actually, like, a guy's a really like religious guy, very like professional, and he started cursing. I think he used the F word too. He's like, no, it wasn't that wasn't because it was the fucking fluffiness. You're an asshole. He's like, it was probably because the shipping was wrong. It was blah blah, and he went into like probably a logistical problem. But he's like, that was not because it was lack of quality. He started calling the guy an asshole, and I was like, I can see that passion probably coming from you when you're sitting down and somebody's like, oh well, what's the difference between this and Hershey's, and Kit Kat?
I'll give you something. If there's a review that people can leave after my events, it's like, this guy can talk
chocolate for yeah.
And if you don't stop me, I mean, I can talk about chocolate nonstop for weeks.
Are you sure? Because I got 150 more minutes on these cameras.
I can prove you wrong. Absolutely. Absolutely. No, the word chocolate is fascinating, man. And the more we talk about it, the more there are things to talk, and the more I realize that, there's still so much to learn. Yeah. I think that's what I love the most, that I don't try to consider myself an expert. I think that's a big mistake someone can make, because when you consider yourself an expert, you think you know everything and you stop learning. Okay? And for me, just by traveling to a different farm and see their different practices, oh wait, this is growing different altitude, or this is growing near certain trees or something like that, it brings something absolutely new that it's fascinating. Okay, so I'm always open. I'm like a sponge. I'm always open to get more knowledge about it.
I know you know your stuff then, because the only other person I know that has said the expression "we're always learning." This guy has been traveled all over the world. He's a bartender who really makes it his life. He does classes of all different types of spirits, and he's been all over the world traveling to different whether it's breweries for beer. He's been over to Scotland to check out all of the distilleries over there, all over Europe. And the one thing he kept saying is like, you're not an expert. We're always learning. We're still learning. And when you said that, it made me think of him, because I was like, I definitely know Ricardo knows his stuff, man, because when you hit that level of thinking, you really know a lot, because then you're going, well, the more that I learn and know, the more you realize, like, wow, I don't know. I and it's like so humbling at the same time.
I think it's fascinating to admit that there's a whole world in chocolate that it's still pending to be discovered, not only by me, but by people. And why to call yourself an expert? Why to pretend that you know everything when you don't? Okay, I think it's part of being transparent. Yeah. For me, as an educator, because that's why I am. I'm a chocolate educator, chocolate connector, you name it. I think transparency, it's what keep bringing clients, keep people engaged. This guy is real. If I'm pretending to know everything, I guess that sets people off. Like, it's not humble. It's not part of my personality.
Yeah. And I'd love to take a actually, what was I gonna say? I'll take this part out. No, I'd love to see how some of those classes are, because you've brought some chocolates today. We're gonna do a little taste trying.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. Well, I always like to start how the classes kind of work. We talk a lot about where chocolate comes from. So it before people get to taste it, they have to understand it. Right? We talk about
it's like an appreciation of what you're about to.
Yeah, because they don't realize how long it takes to make a good chocolate bar.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The time that the fruit is growing, the fermentation time, which is about 7 weeks. Then the beans have to be dry, which is about 7 days, and then another 7 days, and then cacao is shipped to the factories, and then we have to roast it, and then we have to, remove it from the shell, and then goes through the machines, and then it can take 48, 72 hours, maybe longer. And then if we decide to age the chocolate, it can take 30 days, 60 days, just waiting there to be transformed into chocolate bars or into chocolate products. So it's not like, oh wow, you have a river of chocolate at your factory that you just put it into molds and that's it. You know what I mean? It's not like that. So they're like, oh wow, okay. And then it's how we kind of start with, we take it from there. It's been a wide amount of people in my events, thank God. And what we'd like to educate, it's about understanding the tasting. I always relate this to wine tastings, which are the most popular. I mean, everybody goes to wine tastings and they listen to the sommelier talking about different notes, talking about terroir, things like that, but they don't understand. I mean, they don't realize that chocolate is exactly the same. It's exactly the same. I mean, we do have a flavor wheel that we kind of, our flavor wheel is mostly shared with coffee people because we share the same environments for growing the fruits. Coffee and cacao are cousins. So, we have a flavor wheel, just like you experience when you're in a wine tasting. And I always tell my guests, I'm gonna program your chocolate brain to think about chocolates in a different way, and that's how we take it from there. Then I'm gonna show you exactly what we do. I'm gonna rub one of these, which happens to be one of my favorites. I brought you 2 inclusions. Inclusions means chocolate with an added product. Okay. So we're talking about one with pink Himalayan sea salt, and we have one with organic freeze-dried raspberries. But I always
almost like a vodka. How like vodkas throw in like a raspberry or something like that.
Yes, but you gotta start from the basics.
Yeah.
Okay, and the basics are, for me, the key part of understanding chocolate. You don't get to appreciate chocolate if you start tasting a bar with salt or a bar with coffee or a bar with something else. You start from
the most basic.
Yeah, the most basic, yet fascinating. Okay, so I'm gonna let you do that with me.
Oh, I'm excited. All right. The first actual tasting or anything on the No Politics podcast.
All right, so take a piece of chocolate with me. How do we taste chocolate? We use our 5 senses.
Just like wine.
So in wine, you use 3. Sight, smell, and taste. Okay? In chocolate, we use 5. Sight, touch, smell, hear, and taste.
I was going to say, because when you cracked it, I heard the...
yeah, it's called snap.
Snap, okay.
Okay, so, you used 2 already. Yeah. Sight, touch, I handed you a piece of chocolate. Okay, you look at it, the first thing that you see is the brightness, the color. In a proper tasting, you will see different chocolate pieces, and each one of them, even if it's the same percentage from a different origin, may have a different color, may have a different tone. Okay? Now, you have your chocolate with you. The next thing that we're going to do is going to smell.
I actually smelled it from probably about like 7 to 8 inches away.
Smelling is like opening that chocolate drawer that you have in your brain, like how you can relate that aroma.
Yeah.
The things that you know. There's something really cool right now. It's called neurogastronomy. So basically through science and gastronomy together, you kind of are able to relate flavors into storage, like in your brain, like repeating, tastes like, it smells like, and then it's going to be easier to go back to that when you do this. It's almost like the movie Ratatouille, where the dish brings you back to your childhood. That's what I'm trying to do with this.
Okay.
All right. The fourth one, you put it close to your ear, and you're going to break it. All right. It has to be solid. It has to be sharp. Obviously, every piece of chocolate has a different breaking point depending of the percentage, depending of the cocoa butter content.
Does it depend where you break it to? If it's like the middle of the bar or if it's at the end of the bar, does that matter?
Necessarily.
No? Okay.
Not necessarily. I mean, I think it's more about the overall chocolate. We have that snap. Obviously, if you're by the edge,
if you're doing a little corner,
okay, that can change a little bit. And I say the last and the most expected part of this, it's definitely to savor the chocolate. If you have water with you, I always suggest room temperature water, room temperature product cleans your palate. Okay, brings your taste buds to neutral, so you can definitely detect flavors in chocolate. Now, what we do is something called single bean, single source. So basically, we buy from a specific farm, and with that said, genetic, regions, terroir, all that, impact on the flavor of chocolates. You may taste different things in this piece of chocolate. You may taste coffee, nuts, fruits. Nothing of that has been added. Okay. Why? Because we're working with specific farm from a specific region, and we're bringing the best of that. Unlike what people know about chocolate, that's considered a blend. That it's cacao being sourced from many countries, and they're all put together to make a chocolate bar. We go the other route. Okay, it's like a single malt scotch. Yeah. Basically, or a single winery wine. Okay, that's what we do with chocolate. That makes it unique, and that also brings people to understand, like, okay, I like this flavor profile better. This matches with me. Some chocolates are very fruity. Some chocolates are very like coffee, straightforward, like maybe like light tobacco flavors. Why don't we taste this bar now and see what you get out of that? Okay, let it melt slowly. Or if you like to chew your chocolate, because there's people that I see that they like to chew the chocolate. There's nothing wrong with that. But I always say, like, let it melt a little bit. The first step in a tasting, it's kind of like let those flavors. This is like a roller coaster. Okay? It's like when you're in a roller coaster, the car goes up, down, those wheels and stuff like that. And that's how you're going to start like tasting or getting different flavor profiles on your palate. Yeah. Okay. So let that melting start, and then slowly, if you like to chew it, you can do it. Flavors will come and go. Flavors will be popping up. All right. See what you get out of that. Okay.
I'm definitely a biter because as soon as I put it in my mouth, I wanted to bite down on it.
It's okay. You see how the flavors start evolving.
Yeah, as it goes.
Yeah. You're like, what am I tasting?
If someone's listening to this in their car, they're just slowly hearing me like moan and a little bit further. I hope they're watching this, right? Because if you're listening to it, it's just me right in their ear.
What's happening to these guys? Yeah, it's guys, when you're listening to this, remember,
you give Dan chocolate, he's enjoying himself. You know?
Absolutely. Don't be a judge, be a chocolate either. That's what
but now I could really. I would say now I feel like I'm tasting it right now.
Anything that you can name, it reminds you of something. Maybe a fruit, maybe a nut. Anything that you can point at. We're going to do something cool. Tell me something, and then we're going to eat another piece. Okay. Tell me if you can name something.
Trying to come up with the name of it because it's like I don't want to just say like just chocolate. I'm trying to like go a little bit deeper at least, but it's a
some chocolate bars can be pretty much chocolate forward, like as far as flavor, cacao forward, chocolate forward. Yeah, that's actually a flavor profile.
Chocolate forward.
Yeah, it's very chocolatey. Let's say.
I would say definitely it's like on the darker end.
Okay, this is a 72%. So, out of the total weight of the bar, we're talking about 72% weight in cacao. Let's do this. Take another bite. And I'm going to be telling you exactly what directions to go.
Now you say it. Is there a hint? I don't want to say coffee, but...
you can say whatever. I would say a little bit of coffee, maybe some nuttiness. Nuts.
It's
almost like a chocolate spread.
Yeah, it's not like almond though. It's like a different type of nut.
I would say more like roasted hazelnuts. Okay, roasted hazelnuts. Then it starts some brightness, kind of like midway starts some brightness, almost like a cranberry, like a tart fruit.
So you say hazelnut, I say frangelico because I drink.
It's what you have on your chocolate drawer that you're pulling out now. Yeah, it's how you refer. That's why the tastings are very subjective because I always say my guests, nobody's wrong. Nobody's wrong. You say whatever pops up, because that's the beauty of that. Yeah. I mean, I disagree with you as far as what I taste, but I don't say that I'm right or you're wrong.
Yeah. It's like when somebody says, oh, it tastes like cinnamon, and the other person says, it tastes like Fireball.
Well, there's some spices in this chocolate too. Okay? Almost like maybe a little bit of kind of like nutmeg, almost like when you bake with chocolates and you use spices to add to the chocolate cake towards the holiday season. Yeah. So if I had to break down this bar for a guess, I would say, imagine the brown color. What do we find in the brown color in a tasting wheel? Coffees, nuts, spices, tobacco, molasses, all that. You're like aged rum, aged. You can relate to that. Okay. And then think about another color, let's say, of the tasting wheel, which can be a purple, red color. What do you find that? Red fruits, maybe like, cherries, raisins, plums. Yeah. Are purple. Cranberries. Okay. Figs, tamarind. A lot of people taste fig. There's some brightness, some sharpness in this bar that reminds you about like a fig or maybe like a cranberry. Okay? I mean, you're welcome to continue eating while I'm like describing this bar and see if you can get to taste some of that. But absolutely, the aroma before was chocolate. Now you go deeper as far as what you smell, and you're like, okay, now talking about that brown, maybe smell some spices. You can always break it again
and get that fresh
and get like that fresh aroma that's almost like encapsulated there. You can do that as well. So it's really cool to have different bars like I do in my events and compare even the same percentages. Sometimes people think that the percentage is the norm. They don't realize how different can be from one place to the other. All that, it's fascinating.
Oh, it is, because there's so much to it. I mean, the texture. Yeah, but how does that texture develop? Is that something you guys do on purpose as like a branding on top, or
the texture of the mold?
On top, with the lines.
Yeah, this is our custom chocolate mold.
Got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So we try to...
And obviously the thickness you dictate as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And is there a difference, like, I would say to the taste, if it's thicker than anything?
If it's thicker, what you have to do is take your time. Okay? Take
slower,
your time.
So thicker chocolate eats slower.
Absolutely. Take your time, because it takes a little bit longer for the flavors to appear. Say, hey, I'm here, because it's a thicker piece.
Yeah, because it takes you longer to get in the center. Now, I like my chocolate. Like if I buy any chocolate, I'll like chill it. Does that make any difference in the taste and everything, or in like the snap?
Yes. Okay. I'm just want to say it's not the ideal.
Yeah, you could say, you be honest.
It is not the ideal, but I'll explain you why. Imagine that you leave chocolates in the car. Chocolate bar meltdown. Mm-hmm. When you open the chocolate bar, you will see that it's almost like grayish. People think it's old. It's not old. It's something called bloom. In the chocolate world, we have two kinds of bloom. Fat bloom, which is the natural cocoa butter inside the cacao, reaches the melting point. It's too hot. And it goes to the surface. And then it solidifies, leaves like some gray marks. People actually relate that to a cheap old chocolate. No, it can happen with a chocolate bar that we package today. It's just a fat migration. Okay? When you leave the chocolate in the fridge, it's the opposite process. It's not fat bloom, it goes sugar bloom. So basically, because of the cold weather in your fridge, sugars will separate, almost like creating a grainier mouth feel in your palate. Okay? So obviously that takes time. But when you let that piece of chocolate melt, you feel almost like sugar crystals that they were separated. You know what I mean? It's almost like
actually, now that you say that, because when I bite down in it or I break it off, you really don't like what I just had right here, that tastefulness after a little bit. You don't get that because you might get a quick pop, but then it's done.
Yeah.
Like there's not that flavor that lasts in your mouth like this. I can still taste this actually right now.
Remember, what we do with the water is a great example. I mean, the water is a palate cleanser. And basically what it's doing, it's getting your taste bud on a neutral. Okay? When you eat something, it's too cold or too hot at some point, the flavor disappears. And then like ice cream. Like ice cream. Yeah. The first couple of spoons, you're like, oh man, I love this ice cream. But then it's almost like you're on automatic.
But I'm almost thinking too, maybe that's what a lot of companies want, because it makes you eat more because you're chasing that flavor, because it comes and goes. So you want to continue eating to get that flavor, when if you buy more of a naturally made higher end piece of chocolate, you literally just need one bar.
Absolutely.
But with like a Kit Kat or Hershey bar, I could eat probably 5 in one sitting.
Well, it's kind of hard for me as a professional to talk about those brands specifically.
Even being as like chocolate, right?
Yeah, I mean, I relate to artisanal and commercial.
Yeah.
But trust me, I know these brands are very aware of the work that we're doing. Funny enough, every time that I open my LinkedIn, you see the people who search for you.
It's them.
So some of these brands are there, like, oh my God, yes. I won't say names, so they're like, I don't know if I'm doing something right or doing something wrong. You know what I mean? It's like okay,
you're on the hit list for the major chocolate makers.
Listen, I'm being noticed. Being noticed, not necessarily bringing you more clients. That's for sure. Yeah. I mean, what these companies don't want you is to go through this experience. Yeah. Okay, we're talking about, this is a chocolate piece that contains only 2 ingredients: cacao beans and cane sugar. That's it.
Cacao beans and cane sugar.
Cane sugar. That's about it. That's as pure as can get. I dare you to go now and go to a pharmacy, go to a supermarket, and grab one of those chocolate bars that probably you grew up eating. Flip the bar.
Yeah, this is different.
Flip the bar, read the ingredients, and you'd be surprised about how many ingredients are in your chocolate that you don't understand. You don't understand. That's where the sugar comes from. Okay? I mean, commercial chocolate sometimes is either too sweet or too bitter. Okay? This may be strong, but it's not bitter. I mean, bitterness has nothing to do with a good or healthy chocolate. And sugar, unfortunately, sugar is like a natural drug. When you eat a lot of sugar, you crave for more sugar. And that's what the market likes. Okay? If you eat something sweet, you're going to want a second piece. And you want another piece. Remember that?
Yep.
There's no indulgence in those chocolate bars. It's just like, eat it, and then get another one, and then get another one, because you want to continue like calming your sugar cravings. It works like that. For us, it's more like an indulgence. It's like having that great bottle of scotch.
It is.
That you come after work and you serve, a little bit, and then you sip it and you enjoy it. You take your time, you savor it. Mm-hmm. That's what we want from you. Savor and enjoy it.
It reminds me of even like how beef is. Like if you go to McDonald's and anyone can eat like 3-4 Big Macs because it's just like the quality of the beef. But you take one Wagyu beef burger and eat that, you will be full. It will be actual protein. And you won't have to keep indulging over and over and over again. And then your body's just not getting anything out of it. Like this is chocolate.
Yeah.
Chocolate. I feel like because everyone's so like, especially Halloween. I mean, everyone's just getting all these mass chocolates, and it's like one bar should fill you up. And if you're eating more than that, it's probably not you. You probably, a lot of times people think, oh, well, I'm just like, I'm fat. I love my sugar. One bar should be able to do it.
Listen, I tell my clients in my tastings is that after this event, you're probably gonna love me or hate me. But I won't be on nutties from now on, for sure.
Yeah.
Because next piece of chocolate, you're going to start doing the same. Break it, smell it, taste it then. And Halloween, Easter, people are like, oh my God. Some of them may say, man, I hate this chocolate guy because he really messed up with me. Now this chocolate, it doesn't taste the same way. Yeah, that's what I do. It's what I do. I mean, hopefully we bring you to the good side of chocolate because it's not only good as far as flavor, it's more human. The stories that are behind this type of chocolate bars. Yeah. Which is very important for me. I mean, I kind of like, I turn on the light on your brain about how a chocolate should taste. And then I love to talk about how a chocolate should be made. As far as ingredients, as far as quality, as far as compromise with the people that are behind, the scenes, people that you don't know. Sometimes that it says people don't care about farmers, unfortunately, how they're doing, how they're living. But all that, it's part of our chocolate bar. All that, it's a very important ingredient, let's say.
So I would say that, like you would say then, like the biggest difference between a piece like this and say like Hershey's, for example, probably the most famous, just pure, they say, just talking chocolate, would be that this is more simplified, where it's just using more of the natural ingredients like the cacao beans and the sugar cane, and then like a bar like Hershey's. In order to mass produce it, they're adding in a lot more other ingredients.
All right. So it's kind of hard to jump into that question by saying yes.
Just one, yeah.
Because like I said before, I mean, I'm kind of a rebel, but I'm talking about mass produce in general. I don't want to say specific things about Hershey's or specific brands, but I dare you to go get a bar like the company you mentioned or any other company that you grew up eating with. Flip the bar, read the ingredients, read the amount of ingredients. You would taste the difference. Now that you keep this bar, do your own exercise. Do your own test. And that's how you love me or hate me.
Yeah.
Period. There's no in between. It's just like, man, I love this guy because this guy really changed my chocolate mind. Or you say, I hate this guy because this guy changed my chocolate mind. Period. But that's what I'm here for. I'm here to talk to my people about the quality. It's key. It's key. We have nothing to hide. I think just like great coffee, they tell you exactly where the coffee beans are coming from.
They're naming the farmer who picked the beans.
dude, we know the name of the farm. You know the farmers by name, how many kids, how many dogs, how many chickens.
Holy shit.
That's my added family.
Yeah.
That's my added family. Some of these farms, I mean, we've been working with the same farms for, I think the newest farm now probably is going to be Colombia, but the newest farm has been like 5 years old. 5 years working with the same people. 8 years, 10 years working with the same people. So, I mean, there's that connection. Yeah. There's that connection. They're not my farmers. They're my family. I have to care about these guys. Yeah. I have to pay them well. We have to buy for the right thing. There's a lot that it's involved in a chocolate bar.
Especially international trade too, where there's, fair, what's the expression? Fair trade, fair farming?
Fair trade, yes.
Yeah. Where I'm sure like the major companies are not, obviously there's not that care there.
Well, listen, I've seen it all. And again, I mean, there's a lot of information out there, documentaries talking about cacao, how farmers are, being mistreated, slavery, child abuse, all that.
It's like
happening.
diamonds.
Absolutely. I mean, look at African farmers.
Yeah.
Sometimes they harvest the cacao, and when the fruit is removed from the tree, a big truck comes. They says, "Thank you so much." They take all the fruit and they take it to their own fermenteries, their own cooperatives, where they're going to do that. And farmers get paid 6 to 9 months later.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's crazy. That's why, cacao only grows in places with extremely high rates of poverty. And at some point, for some corporations, it must be like that. It must be like that because they kind of like have to sell the soul to the devil for money. They don't even care about what they're growing, if it's good or if it's bad. What genetics, whatever. These companies are going to put all those cacaos in a blender. They are going to add tons of sugar and they're going to sell it for 99 cents and they're going to make all the money. You know what I mean? We go the other route. We start from the farmer.
And I can only imagine, is it now like this? I guess every company, every field, every industry has like their season. So would you say like now through when is your season, or is it like in the summertime for actually producing and people buying it?
Well, summertime for large clients, we say it's the time to place your orders. It's the time to plan ahead. Summertime for us it's a time for restock, receive more beans, transform the beans, get chocolate ready. Start creating the products that are going to be sold in the season. Our season pretty much started, with back to school.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, back to school it's almost like back to business as well. People get into, now people stop from going out of towns. They stay here and they're like, now we go back to everything. Our normal life, and part of our normal life, it's like consuming chocolate, whether it's a retail partner or booking my events, which is what we're doing the most,
Yeah, because you got back to back to back to back. You've got Thanksgiving, Halloween, I should say.
Well, Halloween, it's a different. We do book events and we do have sometimes chocolates for Halloween, but it's more for adults. They want to treat themselves during Halloween. They don't want to eat cheap candy because that's exactly what the market is. It's not necessarily chocolate, it's cheap candy. Then we have Thanksgiving. People eat, share more like a dessert. So they have they're going to do pairings. They can have some wine, they have some spirits, and they want to have pieces of chocolates with that. Obviously, we not only produce only these chocolate bars, we do have bonbons, truffles, so that can be for any occasion. Now with the holiday season upon us, we do a lot of corporate orders. Bonbons, truffles, and for large corporations, we are able to also customize printing. So that's cool because it's a corporate gifting. Then we jump into, February, which is Valentine's. It's a big, big, big day. It's always like the most uncertain day of our year because you don't know how crazy it can get. And then we have Easter. It was getting bigger throughout the years here, and then Mother's Day. Unfortunately, people don't really care about dads and chocolate, but to whoever who's listening or watching this podcast, we dads love chocolate too. So just make sure that you get a nice bourbon bottle with the chocolate. But
does bourbon go well with chocolate?
Absolutely.
I was gonna say
talking about flavors in chocolate. Bourbon is brown caramel color. So whenever you find this piece of chocolate, remember when you said were like nuttiness, some like maybe some spices, they were all in the brown color of your tasting, of your brain's tasting wheel. So when you taste that, you say what can I use to pair this? Bourbon, scotch, rum. It's fascinating.
You drink a little bit before or after you eat? To have a proper...
Here's what I do. because maybe I'm the chocolate guy,
Yeah.
I always like to start with the chocolate, okay?
Okay.
All right. And I always say that because if you get a piece of chocolate, let's say you keep this, later on tonight, it's just like, okay, let me try this and let me see what I pair it with. It's not that you're just going to grab a bottle of whatever and you're just going to drink it, sip it.
Yeah.
Understand the chocolate. The more fruity notes, it's going to lean towards wines, okay? Sparkling wines, that type
The ones
of
with
drinks.
the cherry hints.
Absolutely. Those are going to pair absolutely
Valentine's
well.
Day almost more.
Yeah, absolutely. Like maybe like bubbles and fruits and in cherries, berries, and chocolate. When you taste, because there are a lot of chocolates like that, okay, that have that fruity flavor profile. So you know that's gonna be a great chocolate to pair with, let's say, a glass of red wine. But if you find chocolate that is more complex, okay, there's more like chocolate flavor, like you mentioned before, like straightforward, nutty notes, probably some spices, like I said before, malt, molasses. All that goes amazing with a nice bourbon, a nice Scotch rum.
What type of bourbon do you prefer?
Oh, I don't discriminate.
You like a Knob Creek?
Oh, absolutely. I always say that this is a great pairing, though. I mean, just for research purposes, have done it before.
Yeah.
Like I said, research purposes. Okay, so
you gotta be there, done that. You know what I'm saying?
Someone has to sacrifice.
Yeah.
Okay, someone has to sacrifice to do that, and obviously you gotta trust the chocolate guy.
I do.
And that's what I do.
And we got a solid bottle of Knob Creek for people that are just listening here. Knob Creek too as well. I'd say decent bourbon. Decent, definitely not definitely not your $150, $200 bottle, but quality and also high in ABV, as it is 50%, and it means 100 proof for everybody out there listening.
Yeah, I think it's a reliable, overall bourbon that anybody can enjoy. And, it goes smooth with chocolate.
We're about to find out how smooth it is. I'll give you the snifter, by the way.
I was expecting that, but
oh yeah,
there you go.
You didn't expect bourbon coming into the podcast studio?
No,
well,
but now I like the podcast even more.
Yeah.
Yes. So, cheers.
Cheers, sir.
What I always say, like, why don't we try it with the chocolate now?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Don't drink the bourbon yet.
No, yeah, we'll cheers when we do
cheer.
the.
No, cheer now, because then you're gonna forget. All right, cheers now. Again, it's almost like you smell the bourbon.
Yeah.
It's a brightness. You can smell like some light caramel, like almost like.
Oh yeah, you can.
Caramel. All right. Brown again. When you smell the bourbon, you smell like brown. Okay. Almost like when you're caramelizing sugar. Okay, we're Latin, so we do flan, quesillo, so that's what covers actually the custard type. So we caramelize the sugar. There's some stage during that process that you can smell this. By the way, you can add bourbon to the recipe. Okay,
Can you put bourbon in chocolate?
absolutely. We have the privilege to work with great brands, and we have infused their spirits into our chocolate bonbons, etc. So we've done like Macallan 4, 5, 6.
Really?
Yes. Some other brands that they want to showcase chocolates for their clients.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, we can just bring the bourbon into the chocolate and create something outstanding.
Because I know of a bunch of different old-fashioned recipes that use like chocolate bitters a little bit to try to stir that in.
Yes. Yeah, the chocolate. And it's also something that for us is like a go-to. Now, What is my go-to when we're talking about old-fashioned? When we're talking about old-fashioned, we're talking about bourbon with a little bit of orange, all that. I have a product for that. And I actually brought it to you.
Really?
So you can make an old-fashioned later on.
Oh, that's all I need is more.
Let's taste this.
Let's do it.
To get it into the old-fashioned mood.
Okay.
Okay, let the chocolate melt slowly.
Okay. Heads up, you might hear some moans on this.
Chocolate's going to be melting. Well, it's like halfway there. Just sip a little bit of the bourbon. Invite the bourbon. It's almost like, okay, now I get to know you. This is how the perfect marriage is going to come.
While it's still in the mouth?
Yeah. Just bring some chocolate to the party. To some bourbon to the party.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah. You see how now the chocolate tastes more like...
Oh, shit!
Now, the remaining flavor in the chocolate, now the chocolate tastes more like cinnamon. Tastes more like spices.
Oh.
You see that? Well, actually, you taste that?
Oh, my God. What's going on in my mouth right now?
Dude, I have a cool job.
Holy shit. Oh, my God.
You see? And now, the aftertaste...
Well, it's because it's texturized too. So
absolutely.
it's like texturizing bourbon to a point.
But I'm gonna bring something else to you. The Cacao chocolates, we not only make chocolate bars, bonbons, but one of my absolutely favorite products. I'm a chocolate and fruit person. I do the candied orange peels and chocolate. So, talking about the old-fashioned, I want you to try this.
Okay. Oh, you said orange. Ah.
Yeah, the orange rind, the orange peel. It's candied, and then then it's covered in chocolate. Do the same. Take a bite of that, and then bring the bourbon to it.
I'm gonna have a drink of water, refresh.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know about drinking water after you have a sip of bourbon, but it's fine.
Yeah, true. All right, let's do it. Definitely get that orange. I definitely.
It's pure
that
orange.
hits quick. Yeah. No bourbon time.
This is fabulous.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that enhances, I would say it turns the orange flavor
but enhances
more
the bourbon.
richer.
Absolutely.
More of a higher class orange. I mean, right from the...
And of course, there's a first impression. What you pair both, and then the aftertaste of the orange. You see, it's getting stronger. It's almost like the orange gets jealous because you drinking bourbon. It's like, no, why are you doing it to me? Why are you doing it to me?
It does.
You know, it's great. Yeah, you have plenty more there.
Oh, thank you.
One is not enough for
No. You know, this would be. I feel like you can make so many different types of like old-fashioned desserts.
Oh yeah.
You know?
So one of the things that I love about chocolates is that the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
Endless. And when I travel to the farms, countries, and taste their food, you know, their spices, I love going to the local markets, the mercados, and to get like the spices that they use, stuff like that. They bring it back and make recipes for that. With that, it's wonderful.
Yeah, now the chocolate, I swallowed that whole piece, no more bourbon left in my mouth, and I still have that really good taste in the mouth. Now I feel like I understand what you mean when we were talking before about the temperature being not cold, you know, rather than being cold, because if it was cold, you wouldn't have melted like it is easy.
Absolutely. It's now it's more neutral.
Yeah.
with cold or hot drinks or food, the perception kind of stops at some point.
Yeah.
Imagine like when you're drinking soup, like ramen. You're like, okay, I love ramen. Oh my God. I mean, they come with the ramen and you get a spoon and you're like, you burned yourself.
Yeah.
You missed it. I mean, you're going to finish that soup, but you're not going to perceive what you were supposed to.
Yeah.
You're not going to taste what it was supposed to taste because you burned yourself. Same happens with that. When you're drinking something and all of a sudden you get like brain freeze.
Yeah.
This is the cold. And then it doesn't taste the same.
It doesn't.
It doesn't taste the same.
You're just burning through it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, indulgence, it's very simple. It is very simple.
And it shouldn't be quick. I would say because I'm right now still tasting an orange bourbon in my mouth, and which is really nice. And indulgences, I feel like we're so used to like wanting things quick, and it's like keep thinking about me having a Kit Kat bar, and I eat the whole bar in 5 seconds.
But this is not an indulgence. That's trying to reduce the sugar craving.
Yeah, it's just consumption.
Yeah, yeah. It's just
artificial consumption.
It's just eating chocolates. Indulgence for me is take time off your day, take a break for you.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't know. It's like think. Enjoy. Just make sure that
slow
down. That's basically how indulgence should start. Some people do it with wine. Let's say they get back home at night and they say, okay, this is my time. And they have a glass of wine and they kind of like chill. Some people just go out, get a fine cigar out of the humidor and take the time to smoke it, enjoy it. Find the complexity of that specific cigar that they're smoking, which is very similar to cacao, by the way. And, enjoy it. Because at some point, I've learned that we have to stop and smell the roses in life. We have to stop and indulge ourselves. It's like take a break of whatever is going on in your life and take your time to enjoy a nice bourbon, a good wine, a great chocolate, a fine cigar, rum like I do. And, you can actually get to think about things, get ideas. I try to do that as much as I can. And I have a journal with me and I write down whatever comes to my mind in those indulgence moments. Okay, because sometimes, not always, but I have a couple of good ideas. And, I kind of write it down or I see things in a different way because the day it's over and I'm like, okay, I got back to almost like the chocolate zen moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Chocolate zen moment. I love it.
I don't know. I just put in the name of that.
No, it makes sense too because it's like the way we drink, especially. I mean, anything. It's like we're just trying to like quickly. It's like we want to like fast forward through the indulgence, which is sad.
We live in a fast-paced life.
Yeah.
Okay, and nothing helps us to get away from that. I mean, look at the marketing, look at social media. Everything is just like fast forward, fast. Life should be the opposite. Life should be more relaxed. We wouldn't need vacations.
No, we wouldn't.
We wouldn't need vacations.
We wouldn't.
And sometimes we're in vacations and we're like working. We're like robots,
Yeah.
like or thinking about what to do. We're living at a higher speed. Sometimes we have to pull the brakes and enjoy life. Yeah. And I happen to make chocolates for people to kind of like pull the brake, take a moment and have a piece of chocolate and just relax. Enjoy. Discover it. That's about it. That I think it's simple. Life is simple. We make it complicated.
It is. Well, we make it complicated, and I always have started to live by it in the last recent years. Like the less is more. Yeah. Because you shouldn't have to have like 5 pieces of chocolate bars just to like, satisfy your little craving for chocolate. Because one bar, if it's high quality, is really all you need. Just like I went to a restaurant last year, and I ordered. I looked at their drink menu. They had so many whiskeys, and I was like, well, instead of getting like the cheap drink, for like $10, $12, they had a $20 old fashioned.
Mm-hmm.
Which to me, I was like $20 before tax and service charge. I was like, that's expensive to me. But I was like, if I walk away from going to a restaurant, $23, say after tax, and I had one drink, right? That one drink is so much better than 3 drinks of $10 because that's what I would have had. And I would have spent $30 plus dollars on like a shit drink that is made with low quality, but you're thinking you're price oriented, which price oriented, I would have did what I did, which is the $20 and drink one of high quality. And oh man, I was like, I might need a burger to be able to drive because it was such a high quality bourbon. Forget what they used, but it was exactly what I went there for. And most of the time throughout my life, I would be like the person everybody else order. All right, give me the well, and then you have 3, you overconsume.
I have a question for you. How many times have you talked about that specific old fashioned compared to how many times would you talk about the $3 old fashioned for the same $20?
Yeah, it's not even close. Yeah. I called my dad after. I was like, dude, that's the best old fashioned I've ever had.
And anytime that you have the opportunity to talk about that old fashioned, you're going to talk with the same smile. You're going to be like, oh my God, you got to try. And, obviously you became like a marketing force of that place or you're like an ambassador of a specific brand. You're like, oh my God, you got to try this.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. I mean, we have to create memories. We have to create moments. And there's no way to create a moment just getting 10 chocolate bars, 10 candy bars that they're so-called chocolate. What are you going to get at that? You're just satisfying your sugar cravings.
Yeah.
Well, when you get to a point that says, okay, you know what? Let me sit down and enjoy this chocolate. I do watch soccer all the time, and I get a piece of chocolate, and I'm like, while watching the game, my mind is like getting flavors, getting aromas, and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Sometimes mine, sometimes from some friends. Wow, this is great. But how often are you going to do that with a 99-cent chocolate bar?
No, you're not.
Yeah, well, you will never do that. You will never do that. So treat yourself. Life is short. Treat yourself because it's not about spending. It's really about how you spend it, how you spend your money. Okay. More doesn't necessarily mean quality or great moments, great memories. You get it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense because it is quality over quantity on that, and even if it is, even if somebody is price oriented, which I've been like my entire life, like that old fashioned example, one high quality bourbon beats 3 low quality bourbons of the same drink, and actually I walked out of there way more buzzed.
That for the other 3, right?
Than the other 3. I really did.
I bet. I mean, because that business, they know what they're offering. And next time, I guarantee you have the same $23. You're like, how will I spend it?
Yeah.
Do I really want to go for this bourbon experience again? I'm just going to get 3 bourbons and nothing out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, no. I want to, or you're looking for an indulgement moment that you're like, okay, you know what? I'm ready for this.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go have that old fashioned again.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to look forward for that. I want that old fashioned again. That's what I want people to understand about chocolate. It's like, okay, I want that moment. I want to enjoy that chocolate again. It is very important.
It is. And somebody even at like a liquor store in front of a chocolate counter, like you might have never considered, okay, like would I get that $40, $50, $60 bottle or that like $7, $8, $9, $10 chocolate bar? But from what you're going to end up spending on the lower tiers, you're going to end up getting like 5 Hershey bars for like $1.50, $2 each. And it's like, well, now you've just reached the same peak. You're going to go through you get like a well whiskey or like a black velvet, which is like gasoline in comparison to like a even just like this, like a $45 bottle of bourbon. This I'll last so much longer than I would a handle of black velvet that's $10 just because it's such a higher quality and I need less for it to do the same job.
Absolutely. I mean, less is more. You said it. I mean, just make a simple moment, but make every moment count. That's what's important. I think that's what we can get out of this specific topic. It's like that moment. Is it really worth it? Are you gonna enjoy it? Are you gonna remember that moment? You're gonna remember going to the bar, getting these 3 old fashions for like $20 or something, and they were Or are you gonna come back home and says, "Dude, I got the best old fashioned ever." Yes.
From this person, X, Y, and Z.
Absolutely, yes. So what's gonna stay? What are you gonna keep? What are you gonna remember? I think life is about memories.
Yeah.
Okay, in moments. That's very important.
It is, and I just for people just listening to, I just had another piece of chocolate. So if you hear me doing a little and growling, that's why. It's so funny that you brought the orange piece too, because I brought the bourbon, and we both surprised each other.
Yes, this for the listeners, the viewers, this wasn't planned. No. That they say great minds think alike. Yeah, probably. Yeah. So but that was a great pairing.
Oh, it is, and I'm gonna use that. And question for you, because I could use your advice on this. This to me would be a great idea for what I have, but for myself now, I'm trying to think obviously in a different realm. Now, what pairing would you suggest for me? Like, say, date night, right? Date night, beautiful woman, charming, fun, outgoing. What would you suggest that I used to go? And I'm after this conversation, I'm right now leaning more towards the wine pairing with more of like I don't know, like a cherry based chocolate, but I want to get your thoughts on.
I have something good for you. We're gonna continue eating chocolate, bro.
Okay, I'm game.
I guess. You don't mind, right? You don't mind.
No.
All right. So, perfect date night. Women love fruits, chocolate, wine. Okay.
Yes. All right.
All right. So, remember going back to the conversation of fruity chocolates. Okay? Fruity chocolates will make an excellent pairing with wines. Okay? Now, the fruitier, the more wines that you can get involved. Okay? If it's really, really straightforward fruity wine, you can even bring some sparkling wines, some champagne to that. Don't be afraid of having some nice champagne, for example, and pair it with a great white chocolate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not necessarily store-bought candy.
Yeah.
Cookies and cream type of white chocolate, But if you find a great quality white chocolate, that's the perfect match with a bottle of champagne, with a sparkling wine, Prosecco, Cava. It goes really well. If you can do we do a lot of pairings with bubbles, we call it, and we do have like a white chocolate bar that we do for the event, and we add like raspberries or strawberries to it. So
strawberries, yeah.
Kind of like to reduce the sweetness a little bit with something a bit tart. And when you match the sweetness, the tart, and then the bubbles together, dude, I do my part. Now you gotta do yours and do that. Yeah. Now it's your part at the date, okay?
If it goes well, I'll give credit to where credit is due.
That's why I have so many recurring customers. But no, try this bar. This bar that we have here, it's a dark chocolate. This one is a bit milder and a bit sweeter than the other one. This is from Dominican Republic, ER 70%. But we add some freeze-dried.
When you say 70%, what are you referring to? 70%?
Out of the total weight of that chocolate bar, 70% of the weight, it's pure cacao.
Oh, okay. So you refer to it as percentage of cacao.
At the cacao content, correct.
Okay.
So now you do the math and you say, well, if 70% is cacao, what's the remaining 30% if the total weight it's 100 equals 100%?
The sugar cane?
Yeah, it's a sugar.
Okay.
All right. So when you said the darker, the better, or the higher the percentage, the better, is because it has more cacao content and less sugar.
Okay.
That's exactly how it goes.
Okay. I'm just gonna pop a little red, little Sterling collection here. Do a little.
I wasn't expecting this, but this podcast is getting better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We go all the way here. And when I say we, I just refer to me. Yeah, because there's no team around this. I always say we, it's in plural for the podcast, and I'm
sometimes that's the best way to create the rules,
yes.
right? Because you say, we create the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so cheers again.
Cheers, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, wow, that chocolate bar looks good.
It gets better. Trust me. So, break a piece.
Okay. Let's hear that snap. I'm going to put it right next to the microphone here. Okay, good
You
snap.
hear that?
Good
Yeah,
snap. Good
absolutely.
snap.
Now I'm going to have to sacrifice myself.
Do the whole Dave Portnoy. I'd be like, one bite, everyone knows the rules. 7.2.
At some point you were able to do that. Put it face down so you can get to taste all the tartness of the fruit. This is fruitier.
Yeah.
And a bit sweeter than the other. You get the texture of the fruit.
Say it melted quicker.
Yeah, it melts quicker.
Okay.
And now, sip the wine. Now the wine enhances the berry flavor.
Oh, it does, yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Almost like you're like, wow. It feels like you're eating raspberry now. Like a real raspberry now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It maintains its texture all the way through, too. Like, it didn't just melt so quick as soon as I... Oh, wow. I actually almost like this pairing better than the first piece we had. It just melted softer. Smooth, yeah.
Smooth. For me, this one is a smoother pairing. I like the other one. It's more complex. All right? But this is, again, we're talking about date night.
Yeah.
We're talking about pairing, enjoying a moment together, creating a moment together. We're not talking about a couple sitting down and talking about the complexity of the bourbon and the chocolate together and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless not on the first day, in the first couple of dates.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is the you're out on a balcony, string lights.
Absolutely. This is more like the romantic moment. The chocolate and bourbon goes more for like a geeky moment. Almost like, we know what we like. Now let's get adventurous together. Which is also a great idea.
Yeah.
It's also a great idea.
Oh, I'm a fan.
I get the feeling I'm going to be on a speed dial for this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is a great one.
This is really good. Oh my gosh, this is really good.
That's great.
Melts slow too.
Yeah.
It's like an old-fashioned ice cube. You know, how that just slowly, like not on the rocks, but that thick ice slowly melts, which maintains at least as best as it can the richness and flavor of of a bourbon. It's
not like a water because of the melting of the ice brick, of the ice cubes. Yeah, no, when you get that stronger piece of ice, you get more of the drink.
You do.
Yeah. It's like, and it's funny because you taste the chocolate. Again, I sound funny when I'm talking because I have a piece of chocolate in my mouth too. You taste the chocolate, and this is more like a chocolate forward. Maybe almost like a cinnamon, light coffee, very
So
light coffee.
smooth.
Very smooth. But then you get the pieces of the freeze-dried raspberries. You're like, wow. And they continue lingering throughout your palate.
Yeah.
And then you get the, even when the chocolate is fully melted, you still get remaining pieces of the fruit. And then when you take a bite, when you have another sip, you still have that tartness, very light tartness that goes really well with the wine.
Really does. This is... It's like a dessert meal. And I've had if everyone looks at a Hershey bar and you see 16 small little pieces, I probably had one of those little pieces in total in terms of size, so people can look at it. So you're basically probably thinking 2 quarters worth of chocolate. But I feel like I've had a dessert, a full dessert, just off of that little tiny sliver. And this is so good, especially when it starts to melt. Have a sip of wine so you don't feel the hardness of the chocolate piece anymore. You feel like it's starting to turn into a marshmallow feel. Okay. And then having that sip of wine just really...
And let me give you an advice. Sometimes I think often it's kind of underestimated when we do chocolate pairings with wines. But port wine, it's fantastic. To pair with chocolate, it is fantastic. Fantastic.
It is so good.
I have had so many port wine and chocolate tastings.
I bet.
That oh my God. And I really, really enjoy those because port wine is
This is so good. This is so good.
we can get all of that and we're going to spend the day talking about chocolate and drinks are going to get wasted and we're going to be so drunk talking about this. But it's true. It's true.
No. You could. And this is, oh my God, it's just phenomenal. And I probably had 3 sips of wine and maybe 0.75 ounces of bourbon, but both high quality. And I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
Especially the sugar too with it, but you're also talking high quality.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm at the only time I remember feeling like this with chocolate and wine and stuff like that is taste testing, and one in San Diego and then one in Napa Valley, where you start to get a little buzz basically off of a very small quantity.
Okay. Yeah. I think for the listeners, the possibilities are endless when it comes to chocolate.
Oh my gosh, it's just like spirits. Yeah, it's just like spirits.
And dare to try it.
And coffee.
Oh, absolutely.
And coffee, because I don't drink a lot of coffee, but I know that there's it's unlimited.
Well, we do. I do like coffee a lot. Yeah, I have to say I'm guilty on that. And with chocolate and coffee, I have some great pairings too.
Yeah.
A specific chocolate bar for specific regions where also coffee is grown.
Yeah.
So because of the terroir, it has that coffee flavor straightforward. Wow. It's outstanding. And also, some of the chocolate bars, we do limited time recipes. And we have Costa Rican bean that is very coffee forward.
Okay.
And we partnered up with great chocolate companies like friends of us, mom and pop chocolate coffee roasters. And then we create limited edition bars. We use their coffee when we're making the chocolate, and then you have a coffee flavor bar. Or sometimes even milk chocolate. We have great milk chocolate and then we add almost like a cafe au lait type of flavor. Absolutely, yeah. You know, I mean, I think in the chocolate world, the rules are made to be broken. Or at least that's how I want to think. I'm not a square-minded type of person.
Very Miami guy right there saying that the rules are meant to be broken.
I'm sorry about that. Yes, I'm guilty of that.
That's the Miami coming out. Yeah. It's like
the 305.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's the passion. That's what.
Now what do I do? I have the wine and I have the bourbon.
Yeah, you didn't finish the Knob Creek or the wine.
What do I do, guys? I have so many options.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go for the bourbon.
Yeah, go for the bourbon. I love a Knob Creek. I love the bourbon, the orange. Honestly, the chocolate was a hit piece. And anybody looking for, and anybody listening that goes, oh, well, chocolate, I could always just buy whatever, do whatever with it. You can think of it as an experience. You know, we're like, get your favorite type of drink. We all love drinking here in America, especially too. Across the board, get your favorite and sit down and have a drink, have a piece of chocolate, have another piece of chocolate, wash it, not wash it, but let it tenderize and melt in your mouth with some wine on it. If it's more of a fruitful, if it's more of a say chocolate forward, then maybe a bourbon. But yeah, this had orange. The orange and the bourbon. I mean, geez, I could have made this an old fashioned with this if I had the big rocks on me. But where can, if people want to try these chocolates that we had, like the orange or the first one that we had, where can people find you guys, especially being the holidays and these in season?
Okay. It's easy. Go to caochocolates.com, caochocolates.com, and you will find our online store. You will find retail partners, and also you will find their information about our either in-person or virtual tasting events.
Okay.
Where we actually do wine and chocolate pairings in person or online, and bourbon as well.
Oh, and bourbon. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
yes,
So we basically did it here, actually. Holy crap. Good shit.
Yeah. So we do get that done, and dude, if you have a nice group of people now with the remote world going on, you may have family in New Jersey, and you're just like, I'm gonna treat my dad to a tasting. We can put it together.
Yeah.
You're here. Your dad is there. Maybe you have a sister, a brother in California. We put that together. We connect. We had a great. As you can see, I love to talk.
Yeah.
At some point, you're gonna shut me up and say, "Dude, no more." But yeah, so that's what I do. I create moments through these events.
It's nice to have this story. So any of the listeners, caochocolates.com, guys, you can get some more information on the exact chocolates we tried today, as well as just like the stories. And it's just a little bit more education. And even if you do want a little pairing yourself, and a little class for either coworkers, friends, just do this with your family for the holidays or whatever. Also would be an awesome Valentine's Day gift, would be that experience as well. So that's where you can find Ricardo's information, guys. And Ricardo, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
For coming on. This has been awesome, and I'm looking forward to catching up down the road, man.
I feel like we can keep on talking for hours.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, I know.